Welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Minna Daniels, and now the headlines. Nigeria partners World Economic Forum to advance maternal health care delivery in the country. Hamas releases 4 female Israeli soldiers to Red Cross for onward delivery to Israeli forces. The European Union urges Rwanda-backed M23 to halt its advance on Goma. President Bola Tinubu will depart Abuja on Sunday to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, to participate in the African Heads of State Energy Summit on January 27 and 28, 2025. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the summit hosted by the government of Tanzania in collaboration with the African Development Bank Group and the World Bank aims to advance Mission 300, an initiative to provide electricity access to 300 million people in Africa by 2030. In Dar es Salaam, African leaders, private sector leaders, development partners and civil society groups will strategize to accelerate energy access across the continent. The summit will provide a platform for sharing knowledge, expertise and resources to address Africa's energy challenges. Discussions will focus on accelerating energy access in underserved regions, renewable energy efficiency, and mobilizing private sector investment. On the first day at the ministerial level, participating countries, including Nigeria, will present their national energy strategies termed compacts, detailing their approaches to achieving universal energy access within 5 years. On the second day, heads of state will endorse the Dar es Salaam Energy Declaration, outlining a unified roadmap for Africa's progress towards the Mission 300 objectives. President Tinubu will deliver a national statement reaffirming Nigeria's commitment to achieving universal access to energy and its leadership role in Africa's energy sector. He will also highlight Nigeria's ongoing clean energy initiatives and its strategy to drive integrated energy delivery in the continent. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu, Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelebu, the Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Olu Veyen, and other senior government officials will accompany President Tinubu on the trip. He will return to Abuja after the summit. Nigeria has signed a pact with the World Economic Forum to advance maternal health care delivery in the country. Nigeria's Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, signed the document on behalf of Nigeria, while the Managing Director of the World Economic Forum signed on behalf of the global economic body. In his remarks shortly after the signing ceremony in Davos, Switzerland, Professor Pate said, when fully implemented, the pact will help improve the well-being of Nigerians, especially women and the vulnerable, in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda.
This partnership will bring together experiences, knowledge, capacity, opportunities to innovate, and catalytic financing opportunities over time that we will deploy to accelerate the pace of progress that we're making in Nigeria. And what we learn in Nigeria is relevant for the rest of the world, because this activator network is also looking to learn from all the great things that the federal government of Nigeria is doing under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership.
We're very pleased to have Nigeria join the network, and I'd also like to commend you also on your support to our program over the years, and I think most recently also joining the Women's Health Advisory Board in December, and will be a huge benefit to all the other members in the network, so promote that exchange, and we believe that Nigeria will both be able to contribute with your knowledge and your experience and your leadership, but also we hope we can also benefit for the Nigerian citizens.
The minister noted that the well-being of our population, especially women, children, and those who are vulnerable, is a key part of the renewed hope agenda of our president. The memoranda, he noted, will improve the efforts of the federal, state, and local government within, as well as the private sector, to reduce maternal mortality and improve the health of women and children, especially primary health care services, he said. The minister added that Nigeria will leverage the experiences of other countries to improve its health sector. The managing director of the World Economic Forum, Jeremy Jeggins, said Nigerians and the entire group known as the Global Activators for Women's Health stand to gain a lot from the partnership. As part of efforts to boost Zambia's mining sector, a report on findings of a high-resolution aerial geological survey of mineral deposits on the Copperbelt province has been presented to President Hakainde Hichilema. President Hichilema says the survey provides new information regarding mineral-rich areas in the province.
Mining activities on the Copperbelt province have been going on for over a century, yet the full scope of the province's mineral wealth has remained largely undocumented. To address this gap, government partnered with First Quantum Minerals, FQM, to fund a comprehensive aerial geological survey aimed at uncovering the Copperbelt's hidden mineral deposits. The survey is now complete, and President Hakainde Hichilema has officially received its findings.
It's a serious indictment on us as a country. As a people, because you cannot exploit or manage resources you don't know properly, you don't understand. Even if you know Copperbelt is as a mineral endowment, but where exactly? How deep is it? So, and then how do you then package projects? I think there's been an anomaly for a long time. That's why this government took this decision shortly after being favored by the people of Zambia to save them. In the analysis of the initial results, there may be need for our teams to talk to the teams, the technical teams, Tristan on your side, and those who did the work. I would like to encourage those conversations, Minister, to continue.
Speaking at State House during the handover of the survey report by FQM Chief Executive Officer Tristan Pascal, President Hichilema underscored the significance of creating a stable business environment to attract and sustain investments.
It brings positive value like this. That's what it does. Because one of our jobs, Tristan, when we came, our priorities was to stabilize the country, just to restore normalcy in the country. Law and order, of course, but just normalcy, ordinary lives. So people can feel they can do what they wish to do legally, and they don't have to look over their shoulders, because if we didn't have that put in place, it would be difficult to do exercise like this.
At the same meeting, Mines and Minerals Development Minister Paul Kabuswe said the survey was fully funded by FQM under a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) with the government. Mr. Kabuswe disclosed that consultations are underway to determine whether the Copperbelt should be included in the National Geological Minerals Mapping Survey.
We are now trying to see whether it won't be a repetition for them to fly over. So as a ministry, we are trying to sit down now with Excalibur and everybody else involved. But I won't say what will happen, because we just received this. So we are processing and also trying to digest how far we can go in terms of whether Excalibur should fly over the Copperbelt or not.
Zambia was having a conversation around the need to develop opportunities for exploration, to develop pathways towards 3 million tonnes of copper production a year, and towards Zambia continuing to be at the cornerstone of copper production in the world and a global powerhouse in copper production. And the key to that is exploration. So the reason to come before you today is to deliver on that promise that we made to you in that conversation.
The survey was, in terms of the MOU, was fully funded by FQM. And the data will be delivered with no strings attached to the Geological Survey Department. We're required to make data available to any valid mining rights holders, should they request it.
Meanwhile, FQM Exploration Manager John Stacey announced that the surveyed data will be handed over to government.
And in line with the ceasefire agreement, Hamas has released 4 female Israeli soldiers to Red Cross for onward delivery to Israeli forces. Kolom Mohammed tells us more.
Hamas, in the presence of armed men, handed over 4 Israeli female soldiers to the Red Cross in Gaza City as part of the second exchange of the ceasefire deal. Likewise, Palestinian prisoners freed left the prison in Brussels, numbering about 200. Families of the 4 female hostages expressed huge relief and satisfaction. On the whole, Israelis in Tel Aviv were elated as the 4 hostages released arrived home safe and sound.
I can't breathe. I'm really excited and frightening and looking forward to this day to go well and have these young women back home.
The UN says the development in Gaza has been put back 60 years by the 15-month war. The Israeli army say free movement in and out of northern Gaza will only happen after the civilian Arbe Yehud is released by Hamas. And in South Africa, a group of 25 families of victims of the apartheid era have sued the government to the tune of $9 million in damages. Detailed in a case submitted to the High Court of Pretoria, which was later publicized by the Foundation of Human Rights, the families of victims and survivors of the apartheid era are asking to be paid approximately 167 million rands. Additionally, they are requesting a court order that will require President Ramaphosa to establish a commission of inquiry into political interference that led to the suppression of numerous serious crimes stemming from the country's history, as stated in the release from the applicants. A representative for Ramaphosa indicated that his legal team will address the court documents appropriately, asserting that the president had never interfered with law enforcement operations or instructed them against prosecuting apartheid-era offenses. The lead applicant in the case is Lutanyo Chalata, whose father, Fort Chalata, was one of the Kardok Four, a group of 4 anti-apartheid activists murdered in 1985. Despite ongoing inquiries, no one has been held accountable for these crimes, and a third inquest is set to begin this year, although many key individuals associated with the killings have since passed away. For decades, South Africa was governed by a white minority regime that enforced systematic racial segregation, transforming to a multiracial democracy in 1994. Kolom Mohammed, NTA News.
Now, the European Union has urged the Rwandan-backed M23 to halt its advance on Goma, the main city in the Democratic Republic of Congo's restive east. EU Foreign Affairs Chief Kaja Kallas says the EU is deeply concerned about the continued escalation of the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, aggravated by the renewed offensive of the M23 supported by the Rwandan Armed Forces. The EU urges the M23 to stop its advance and withdraw immediately, adding that Rwanda must cease its support from the M23 and withdraw. The EU strongly condemns Rwanda's military presence in the DRC as a clear violation of international law, the UN Charter and the territorial integrity of the DRC. Reports say the city of Goma is under immense pressure. The threat by M23 to conquer Goma is unacceptable as it has grave humanitarian and security consequences on the ground. And President Donald Trump has embarked on an assessment trip to California. He reemphasized his interface with the governor and officials, bearing his mind about how quickly he wants recovery and rebuilding of California to be done, while pledging full support of government. Kolom Mohammed has details.
President Trump has called on California officials to speed up the rebuilding of damaged parts of the land by the wildfires. This he voiced while on a tour of California welfare-affected areas in the company of his wife.
Most importantly, thank you for being here. It means a great deal to all of us, and not just the folks in Palisades, the folks in Altadena that were devastated. We're going to need your support. We're going to need your help. You were there for us during COVID. I don't forget that. And I have all the expectations that we'll be able to work together to get this speedy recovery.
President Trump further assured Californian officials of the full support of the federal government of the USA.
But I just want to commiserate the federal government standing behind you 100%. We're also surging federal resources and assistance to the state, and California must adopt the common sense policies to prevent fires, and we all know that.
In the same vein, the president called on the governor and the officials to ensure that whatever needs to be done towards giving back to victims, better than as it were, isn't spared. He closed on the note that in not too long a time from now, he expects an invite to celebrate a renewed California. Kola Muhammad, NTA News.
Let's take a break now. More reports shortly. Thanks for joining us again. The U.S. air carrier United Airlines Boeing 787 departed Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, to Washington on Thursday, made an air return to Lagos and landed safely on Friday, 24th of January. In a press statement, the Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, Obegiliora, indicates that all 245 passengers and 11 crew members on board were disembarked and rescued safely. She further stated that the 4 passengers and 2 crew members who sustained major injuries, including 27 passengers, are receiving medical attention at various health facilities, while passengers who sustained minor injuries were given first aid treatment and were discharged immediately. The director noted that investigation is ongoing to ascertain the cause of the incident and assured that FAN will continue to provide updates as they become available. Senate has shifted the resumption date of plenary from Tuesday 28th January to Tuesday the 4th of February 2025. In a statement, the clerk to the Senate, Andrew Wobia, explained that the change is due to the ongoing budget defense. The shift in resumption of plenary is as agreed by the leadership of the Senate. A scooping of fuel or looting goods from trucks and other vehicles involved in road mishaps is a criminal act. Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Lanre Issaonili, made this clear while flagging off a public enlightenment campaign in Lambata Gurara local government area of Niger State. He disclosed plans by the agency to produce warning messages in 200 Nigerian languages to further educate citizens on the reasons they must desist from such unpatriotic behaviors. Kenneth Nanim has the report. That report will be coming in our subsequent bulletins. And moving on, the informal West sector is steadily gaining the attention of relevant authorities by the day, with a group of West speakers currently being equipped with the skills, knowledge, and resources needed to transform their work while also contributing their quota to a sustainable circular economy drive of government. Let's join Charles Alpha for the report.
Their primary activities are picking of plastics and waste, and with 51 of them comprising male and female, these scavengers or waste pickers, widely called Babambula, constitute the informal sector and are regarded as key drivers of the circular economy. The Global Action Plastic Partnership, in collaboration with the Eco Green Africa, have identified the immense contributions of this group of persons to the economy and have isolated some of them to be trained on effective waste management using mini recycling machines such as molding, injection, and the intrusion machines to produce basic household needs.
We are teaching them a lot, both the technical aspect, safety and hygiene practices. We are giving them hands-on skills to be able to recycle plastic in their cluster.
You people are what? are valued and you contribute a lot to the world, the ecosystem of plastic waste.
Their capacity were also strengthened in waste segregation, putting into consideration the unhygienic way they go about their activities and the need for the public to see them as very important set of people in the society, while effort is being made to establish a robust recycling structure that incorporates them in Nigeria. More are to be trained in Lagos, Anambra, and Niger states. Well over 70,000 deaths linked to drought have been recorded in Somalia between January 2022 and June last year. This is part of findings in a study conducted by the Somali government and its international partners. More than 40% of deaths were reported among children below the age of 5.
According to the government of Somalia and its international partners, including UNICEF and WHO, nearly half of 71,000 people who may have died due to drought and famine between January 2022 and June 2024 are children under 5 years old. The study, jointly conducted with the London School of Hygiene and Somali-based Simat University, reveals that millions of internally displaced children remain vulnerable to climate change-related shocks.
41% out of the excess mortality, 71,000, are children under 5. This is really very, very sad, and I have personally been to met communities in Baidawa, in Dolo, who told me the mothers, as they left, their rural areas, their villages to seek support, they had to bury sometimes 2 children on the way. This is really very, very sad. It is also the reminder of the impact of the climate change on Somalia, on Somali people who have the least to contribute to that. So this is very painful. We have to put the human face and the human cost.
Somalia lacks accurate data collection mechanisms due to its weak public institutions. The bodies are still struggling to recover from decades of conflict in the country, leading to delayed responses to crises such as conflict, drought, and flooding. Authorities hope that increased coordination with UN agencies like UNICEF on data harmonization can improve effective policy formulation for planning and response purposes.
But as a government, we are committed to involve all partners, whether they are donors, whether multilateral or bilateral, engagements, to make sure that we involve everybody to collaborate and making sure that we reduce the mortality rates in Somalia. At the health sector, we are trying to use our DHSI2, which is going to be where all the data is going to be saved for the health sector. And of course, there's a national data center for the country, which has been already established. And I think there is also, the act has already passed in the parliament, and we are really working on to make sure that we have harmonized data protection, safety, and also, analysis, and also to inform the decision makers.
Experts say Somali education institutions, particularly universities, can play a key role in building strong state institutions by producing competent professionals. This will help the country less reliant on foreign experts whose work is limited by security situation in parts of the country.
In general, academic institutions in Somalia have been dealing mostly in education, but nowadays we have to upscale, and Simat Universities is doing its best to train our expertise to provide them with the proper training that they need for us to lead in data and also and have the expertise to produce an appropriate experience. Because if you look in the current situation, many of the time Somalia goes out to get such expertise. So for the academics, they need really to do their best.
Meanwhile, humanitarian agencies are appealing for more funding to assist needy communities in the Horn of African nation, including vulnerable children.
And this is weather update for Sunday in Nigeria and some other parts of the globe. This is where we end the news. Thanks for your company. I am Minna Daniels.